Topic today is contracts falling over. That's a massive one you're hearing as you speak to prospective clients.
Yeah.
Why is that? What's been the sort of the insight on that?
I think there's a number of reasons. One of the common ones would be with rate rises, people who thought they could borrow, 800 while they're designing it, while they're getting approvals and ready to go to site and making changes to design. That budget goes up a little bit, and then the rate rise goes up, and all of a sudden the bank says, "Oh, now you can only borrow 600, 700." Well, then now you got a problem because we just quoted you 1.1. You had some cash as a deposit, but you can now borrow less. You don't want to build a home that's less than the 1.1 that you just designed with the builder.
Then what does that suddenly do to that prospective client?
Maybe they're attached to, they want that thing, but they want the home, but they don't want less. They can't afford it now, so they go, let's just put it on pause and wait for the pricing to come down. Or I don't know, maybe let's try and...
It's a bit of a cycle, eh? Like it's just the rate then makes something happen, and then it makes them pause, and then it takes longer, and then the next time when they initiate it, then it's even more because things have got even more expensive.
We were chatting about this morning, and so I think it's important helping the guys listening to this, clients and also other builders, looking at what are some of the solutions maybe around that. Other reasons why we say deals falling over, contracts falling over, but it also can be related to, unfortunately, when builders are being used to price against each other and the client goes, well, this person's cheaper.
Another reason is at the moment, with all that rates going up and things, it makes the decision process so much longer because people then suddenly go, should I wait? Is there something coming? Is there like people say there's a dip coming or whatever?
True.
So suddenly where it used to take them, a certain time to make a decision, now it takes a lot more time, and they need a lot more people to kind of convince them to go, yes, this is a good thing. Yes, do this right now.
Yeah. Very, very true. I think that's probably well articulated, that third point, in terms of why things are maybe not going ahead, or they're falling over, or why you're not signing the deals that you want to be signing. Yes, is that uncertainty in the market. So that being the fact that there is that uncertainty, people are taking longer to make decisions, which kind of flows a little bit into option one, topic or point one there, in terms of why things are not happening or falling over, because the longer it takes to make a decision due to uncertainty and needing more confidence, price goes up.
And it's kind of simple. You kind of need to, as a builder, you need to lessen that. You kind of need to, but without jumping
reduce that sales time.
You need to, exactly like you say there. But before we jump into that, a couple cool stories, two very different stories, and the one is, I'll let you hit that one off.
Yeah. So builders of ours down in Victoria, they recently. We catch up with them pretty regularly, like we do with many of our clients. And so they had this really great project that they were excited about, and then last minute it fell over. And that was due to, it was just priced out of their budget. Rate rise came in and something like that. And so that, builder was really bummed, understandably for sure, put a lot of time into this. I think they had charged the quote, which was really great, as opposed to doing all that time and nothing, absolutely nothing has come
getting
of it.
Nothing for it,
Yeah. And so, anyways, really bummed. But then within a week, had 2 more inquiries come his way. 2 more things came across his desk, 2 more prospective projects that they could then have a look at, start working on, that were a fit as well. So
why did you want to share that story? Like what?
Well, I think that's a great example of, there are always, even though there's this uncertainty and contracts falling over, there are still people who want to build, who still have the money. That's one thing, big one I've mentioned in this podcast. One of our really great, I guess, third-party estimators that we often refer to our builders to have a look at or have a chat with is Hayden from Pricer-Plan, and talking to him about, what are you seeing across the board? He helps builders all over Australia. What are you seeing getting priced and won? And there is that certain price bracket there and types of jobs that are not really slowing down. It's getting priced, getting won. So that's really, really cool to see. So we know that people are still buying. It's just, where are you playing? What sort of projects are you doing?
Okay, cool. And then I guess on like the second story, run us through that story, what happened, because this was like quite a unique one for me, which was like, oh yeah, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so this was one of our clients who had spent a lot of time pricing this big job. You know, it would have been 3 times larger than the previous largest job that he had quoted and built. And so he had spent a lot of time with the clients, a lot of time putting it together. And then at the final hour, the lawyers of the client said, no, this contract is too much in favour of the builder, which we all know is never really the case. Most contracts are in favour of the client, unfortunately. So because of the lawyer put that forward, I think the client knee-jerk acted on that and said, sorry, we can't, and our builder, Good, held his ground and said, no, the changes you want to make, I'm sorry, I'm not willing to make those.
Yeah.
That would just render me dangerously, in a position that would be quite dangerous. So then, and I remember having that conversation with him and he texted us that and I was like, oh man, I know how hard you've been working on this.
Yeah.
And then...
And I can understand like those clients, like when a lawyer says something to you, anything
well, they're
legal,
an authority, you know?
Yeah, you kind of take that at hand.
Yeah, you think they're an authority, that's truth, that is it. You don't push back. That's a big topic we can definitely discuss on another day, that sort of white lab coat effect. And so anyways, a week later, got a text from him saying, back on. It's gone ahead.
Wow,
we're doing this. Signed and done. And what had happened was because everything that he had done, from marketing through to his just personality and how much he had invested in this project, all of that together created a really powerful relationship with this prospective client. And so because of that, he had established enough trust with the client for them to go, you know what? No, well, 1, emotional attachment to the outcome that they were wanting. 2, trusting the builder. They actually pushed back on the lawyer and said, we're not going to make those changes and we are going to go ahead with this project.
Yeah.
Signed it. 3 times bigger than he's ever done before. Amazing. And he's well underway and it's, super exciting. So another great story of what, never underestimate building that trust with the client and emotionally attaching helping your clients get really clear on that goal, and making sure that they are clear on it and they want it. Yeah. It's not just it'd be nice to have, but like you want to work with clients that are really emotionally attached to the outcome and the goal because you're going to be putting a lot of effort into not only pricing it but building it. Yeah.
So I can imagine people sitting there going, but okay, so how do you do that? How do you kind of form that trust like this builder did?
Yeah.
And then getting the result that now he's on that journey of building for them. Like if we unpack that, what are like the key ingredients, the key things that the viewers or the listeners today can walk away with?
I'll touch on that in a sec. One thing that just came to mind with the first story, the builder from Victoria. The other big thing there is, they're trusting of us and they've put some great foundations in place when it comes to marketing and branding and stuff like that. And they're so big on that, they're busy going through a rebrand at the moment, which is pretty exciting. So, but anyways, when you have good marketing in place, you should be able to trust that it's going to do what you want it to do, and that is, help attract you new work.
Yeah, because that marketing is kind of part of your team. It's like when you're in the business and you've got someone on site, you're trusting that they do all their work. And the same thing with your marketing, even though it's not an in-house thing, even though you haven't got your own marketing person, but you've got an external company that helps you with your marketing in some way. It's just being able to trust that it's getting done. And,
and if you've put enough of the hard work in, you and the team that you're working with in-house or external, and you know that what's the message that's being put out there, 1, is authentically and truly, and it explains and articulates who you are really, really well and how you help people. 2, it's well articulated in terms of resonating with the ideal sort of clients you want to work with. And then 3, that the right people are seeing it. If you have those 3 things in place, then it's inevitable that the work will come. It's just trusting that will be the case.
Yep.
And then also another thing I remind a lot of builders about that I'm talking to all the time is because this is the big one. I think this should be another whole topic for another day. Is how long does it take to work? When you do marketing, how long does it take to work? Or with us, me, I work with BizVideo. How long does it take to work? how long is a piece of string? It's different. We've definitely seen a really wide spectrum of how fast it works. Some guys, it has worked day one, and they're getting inquiries straight away. And then there's those that it takes 12 months for them to see the kind of inquiry that they want to be seeing.
Yeah.
And it comes down to a number of factors. Yes, the economy, but also what you are selling or what you are offering, what your ideal client looks like, and where you've come from. So there are a lot of factors. Are you offering bathroom renovations, or tiny homes, or granny flats? Those sorts of budgets. More of the market are going to have access to 200K or less to do that kind of project, as opposed to the clientele of those wanting to win $1.5 million, $2.5 million renovations, new homes.
Yep.
There's less people who have access to those sort of funds. So you're dealing with a slightly smaller market, and to make an investment of $2 million takes, I think, a little bit more cognitive thinking and more relationship, more trust to be built. So it just takes time.
Yeah.
That's all. That was a bit off topic there, but I want to just highlight that point. If you have the right marketing in place, you really should be able to trust it, and it should be doing its thing.
That's it.
But you were asking about, I guess, the solution. So what can builders be doing?
What are we finding and this is one of the things that's working really well.
When we go back to the first point we're talking about there in terms of what's causing these contracts to be lost, and the whole sales process has been drawn out due to delays on certain fronts. One thing you want to look at is, okay, what's causing those things? One thing that we have found is the confidence of stakeholders. Now, the major stakeholder being the client. Now, you got to really build their confidence and trust in you for them to go, you know what, let's do this. Because of the uncertainty out there, because of mass media, they're being told not to trust builders, not to trust the process, keep their cards close to their chest. And so what you really need to be doing is looking at what all could I be communicating, or you as the builder, what all could you be doing to communicate to this prospective client everything that they need to know. You need to be breaking down those false beliefs. You need to be educating and essentially be showing them what it would look like to build. So they can, and this isn't new to anyone, but when you're looking at making a purchase or making a decision, if you can see someone who's just like you, that has made the decision before you and had success from it, I mean, how much confidence does that build in you to then make that same action, knowing with a lot of confidence that you're going to have ideally the same outcome? And so that then leads to what we find to be really, really powerful. And a lot of our builders are coming back to us and investing in more case studies and really building their library of case studies. So that I would say is one of the big solutions. Case studies or multi-project stories.
Yeah. And I mean, simple. Those are things that you produce once, and then it's out there and it's working. And then especially if you're going through like a contract phase or the design phase with the client, you got to constantly assure them. You got to constantly be on them, because you don't know the external forces of family or friends with their opinions coming in and
very, very
saying a word, not to go off topic here, but that we're going through a experience at the moment because we're looking for a place to buy, and it's like we're going through a buyer's agent at the moment, and it's been good because they keep in touch with me constantly and kind of educating me along the way. I can see their things popping up and they're calling me, so that's putting confidence in me in every time, because it's still an investment. So having those touch points constantly assures me, and it feels like, yes, I'm making the right decision.
Yeah. And I know you and I have discussed this because when you look at what else is going on around you, there does seem to be this message of, there's a lot of uncertainty. Now is not the right time.
Yeah.
Prices are still quite high. Things are not as crazy as they were a year or two ago, but they're still quite high. And there's a sense of, let's just wait for things to settle. Let's wait for the prices to drop. It's like, man,
and it might not happen.
It might not.
And it might just go up even more. And that's the problem. You just never know. You don't know where it's going. And I think if you're building for clients, for families, man, today is the day. You don't know how much longer you have left in life. You got to make a move today. And that's the kind of message you want to put out for your clients. Hey, Don't keep putting it off and delaying it. If you have a way of doing it right now, do it. But the way we do that is to create that confidence and that certainty and confidence. I did say confidence, but
definitely. And I think, confidence is a huge factor in this, because if I'm more confident and I'm more informed, and those false beliefs that I have about building or the process or this builder particular that I'm talking to, or if you can as a builder deal with a lot of that stuff that client is overthinking, maybe it's going to help really speed up their decision-making process. So rather than spending weeks, months on, let's go ahead and do this. Imagine if your marketing, and imagine if you had multiple case studies that you could be positioning in front of people to increase that confidence quicker, for them to make a decision sooner, and therefore ideally you'd be able to design and get started with them sooner. So a big solution, I would say then, is using case studies in order to reduce your sales cycle time, or your lead time on sales.
A lot of builders feel like they attract the wrong clientele that only focus on price. They never seem to get the projects that they are truly passionate about and that are also profitable. Builders love working with us because we help them create an emotional connection with their ideal clients through the power of story, and help them build long-term trust through their marketing system. If you're a builder and if you feel like you need help, book in a story strategy session with our team by visiting builderstorymarketing.com. Now back to this episode.
So what about case studies makes it so unique?
When we look at a case study, I know we've defined it in other videos, but a case study needs to go in a lot of depth for that client and their journey, as opposed to a testimonial video, which a lot of our builders have done in the past, or a lot of businesses have done. And it's that 2 minutes of someone saying how great you are and how much they loved it, and that they would do it again, and they would recommend it. And often it's a bit shallow, whereas a case study, I bring it back to, if you've ever done any sort of studies, and I know a lot of our builders had to have done some sort of studies when they went to get their license, and no doubt you're learning about good examples and bad examples. When you do that learning, what you're reading about there is a case study. I'm reading about, let's say I'm reading about a company that was successful, or I'm reading about a company that made bad decisions and now they don't even exist anymore. But what you read about is, how did this company start? What were some of the big decisions and key milestones in their business as they grew? And then where was that decision making, where was that big moment when things started to switch and they made the wrong decision or the right decision, depending on the case study? And then what were then the flow and effects of that? And then what ultimately was the outcome from those decisions, and where are things now? You can see that's a lot more depth. And so that's the depth we go to in a case study is, who are these clients? And we don't allow our builders near the client when we're interviewing with them, not even on the property.
Yep.
We want to really go deep on this, and it's about, it's really your space, not mine.
Yeah, that's right.
But
without jumping in there, it's really understanding, it's understanding that client and the desire that they had. And then, what were the things coming up against them? Oh, the fact that prices have just increased and rates, and we were very uncertain. And then the journey they then took, and they found you as the builder, and you brought that certainty for them, and how you brought it to them, and then that result, and that paints a picture for anyone watching that case study in the future. Paints a picture. Oh wow, there's hope. It is possible. And the missing link is there. Well, I've got to work with this builder because they've created that vehicle. Yeah,
definitely. And I've spoken to some of our builders that when they create their library of case studies, and our builders keep building that library, they add more and more to the library, but they will say they're talking to someone. One builder comes to mind in particular in Queensland who had a case study that he had saved and hadn't published, and he would save it for presenting to his prospective clients in person for the right kind of client, obviously those that are a fit. And he told me an example of one. He was talking to a lady in their home about the project they had in mind, and they were pretty keen to go ahead. But he's like, I just want to solidify this and build confidence and make sure it's a sure thing. And he said, look, I just want to show you a little video. I think it'll really resonate. And he put his iPad, put it in front of her, and he said, let him take 2 minutes. Have a watch of this and let me know what you think. Real soft, soft approach there, but placed in front of her, sat back, and he said he could watch her whole body language. And this guy loves reading people. And so he watched the whole body language. And after that, she had watched that video, the way she started to talk to him, the way he communicated that to me was, I could see this lady had that feeling. She could already feel and see emotionally what it was like to have built. So finished building with me.
Yeah.
It was as though she watched that story, put herself in that journey, and saw herself now having the finished home. Yeah. Now that is what you want the case study to create. So someone can watch that and go, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. I trust you. I have confidence that is what the journey is going to look like. I have confidence and trust that you're going to have my back like you had their back. You know, it's, that's
awesome.
Yeah. So
That's
definitely case studies, really, really powerful for those purposes. Now, the other thing that we're seeing a lot of our builders invest in at the moment is multi-project stories.
why. What does that create?
Well, a multi-project story is where we would spend, if we looked at the features of it first, so people understand what exactly it is, we would spend the morning with a builder and we go and visit several of the projects with them, and we look at key things about those projects. Skimming over it, who are the clients, why do they want to work with them, what are the clients trying to achieve, what are the challenges in the build, and how is the builder going to be overcoming those challenges. Obviously, a bit more depth to that, and we guide our builders through that. We know the kind of questions to ask. And what that does is you present that to the market. There's no timestamp on it. So what you're effectively showing the market is, this is what we specialize in. This is what typically it looks like when we're working. We're helping multiple people at any given time. So it shows a high level of professionalism, that you've got obviously systems and processes to be able to do this. Because you are articulating the needs and the whys of your client, it says to your prospective client, wow, this person really understands his clients. And then talking about what's going on in the project, the challenges, and how you're going to overcome those challenges, then positions you to your audience as an expert.
Yep.
As a specialist, this is what you do day in, day out.
Yep.
And you have solutions for the challenges that come into play with these things. So, and it says to your market that here are people just like them, with builds and projects that they have in mind and are dreaming of, trusting you, the builder, right now. So amongst all this other uncertainty in the market, there are people trusting you, going ahead, doing these builds right now.
Yeah. People want to, like, when they're making a decision, they want to know that there's other people doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know, like, okay, cool, I'm not the only one in this area building right now.
Yeah.
They want to go, it's actually, this is something that I should do. And that's why it's that common persuasion technique, if I say it that way, where it comes back to herd mentality, where people like to follow similar others.
Yeah. So my book that we've often quoted, and I would highly recommend to anyone who's listening to this, go read it, and that's the book Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini. When one of the topics in that book, he talks about one of the principles there is this idea of, the exact wording, but it's that herd mentality, and it's how we act in accordance with those that we feel most relatable around us. Yeah. So the examples he uses in the book is when someone is needing help on the street. If I look around and those people around me look like me, let's say I put myself in that category of middle class, average person, hardworking, I'm wearing a suit, I'm in the middle of the city, and those around me, they're also looking my age, they're wearing suits and they're not acting and helping. My brain goes, oh, well, they're not doing it. There must be something that I'm not getting. Yeah. They're like me.
Yeah.
And what's happening is all those other people doing that at the exact same time. So because there's that moment of we're all seeing no one else doing anything, therefore that must be the norm. That's the acceptable action taken in this scenario. Whereas he ran tests, this Robert Cialdini, on studies, and he quotes studies where they created that environment, but the one person in the environment who was the test dummy didn't know that they were being tested, and they purposefully surrounded them with people that were very different. So let's say I'm wearing a suit, I purposely surround you with hippies, and then someone needs help, having a heart attack or something, because those people are hanging back and I don't relate with them, therefore I'm different. I'm not going to take their action. I'm going to take different action. So then in that scenario, you have a split second, it's either help or don't help.
Yeah.
Well, those people aren't me and they're not helping, therefore I help.
Yeah.
Jump in. And that was a the statistics on that are insane. So when you look at that and you apply that to case studies, if your prospective clients are watching these going, here's someone just like me, but you're going into like crazy depth.
Yes.
In terms of like who these clients and how do they get to that point in their life to then make this decision, what's driving that decision, that's going to build huge confidence to go, this is the right decision and I need to make it now. There's also a slight element of scarcity you always want to add into your marketing communication, which is the truth.
Which is
you
true.
can't build 1,000 homes.
You can only build that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the other great thing with a multi-project story, though, different to a case study, is again, there's no time stamp on it. You can use it today, you can use it next year. It's just showing the market that this is what's going on in the business. This is what it looks like on any given day. But you're not, with a case study, we're waiting for the project to finish, ideally. Whereas the multi-project, you can do it right now.
Yeah.
Because we will spend time with the builder on a project that they've just gotten keys to, and they're just busy pulling out walls and pulling the roof off, like they've just started. And then we could also be shooting them on a home that they handed over a few weeks ago, a month ago. That's fine too. So it's anything in between that, but it's just picking a day and we go and visit those projects. So there's way less pressure on lining things up. They've been really, really powerful for our guys.
Yeah, and you also don't need the client there necessarily.
You don't need the client, no.
So it really, and there's so minimal from the builder's perspective. I know builders get so busy, and that's where we're able to kind of just take that off their plate in that sense. So
looking at case studies and multi-project stories being the solution, relating it back to what we've been discussing today, and that is, are your contracts falling over, or are you struggling to get contracts over the line? Or even getting people to the front door, getting people just to reach out to you, because these stories are not just there for people to see once they're in your pipeline. They definitely should be used there. You want to overuse them, but you also want to be positioning it in front of people that are out there, and drawing them in. So when they're out there in the sea and looking at all sorts of different builders, you want to be getting their attention there to go, I want my story to look like that. And these people resonate with me. Okay, then who built this? Who did this for them? And so attracting people like that. So really, going back to the discussion today on, do you have contracts falling over, understanding what's causing that? Is it around confidence? Can you speed up the process? And speeding up that sales process, if that person had come into the door sooner and you sped up the process, would that have potentially solved that problem? Not for every one of those contracts, but for some of them, make a big difference. Or would you like more people to be coming in the door, the right kind of people? Well, you've got to make what your solution really relatable to them. So that'd be, I guess, the closing thoughts that I'd want to leave.